And you have to understand this. This score is not an incremental score. It's not like last year you were 81 and this year they are 2. No. They reassess every year from 0. Okay? So for Sierra Leone to score, remember in 2017 we failed at 49%. We became compact ineligible. We were not even considered. For 2018, after President Bill became president, appointed me commissioner, worked with the team, worked with various sectors, the people of Sierra Leone, the government, various stakeholders in the transparency space, including Audit Service Sierra Leone, the Financial Secretary, and all the Minister of Finance, and other people who work really to make sure this transparency and fiscal policy framework is neat. The results were very immediate. Quickly we jumped from 49% to 71%. That does not happen very easily in any country. And since then it has been incremental jumps from 71% to 79% in 2019. From 79% to 81%, and now we are 83%. It means a lot for the country. It means that the efforts that we are collectively putting in the fight against corruption, with the President providing leadership, with us at the Commission leading the fight, with various actors, including those acting in the media and civil society space, also playing their own role. There is the data. That is, the data confirms year in, year out that what is happening in Sierra Leone is really good, that we are making progress with the efforts against corruption, and of course we are leading several countries that we used to admire before. In this index, we are leading Kenya, Nigeria, Tanzania, Uganda. We are leading a lot of host of countries in the southern hemisphere. These are all things that Sierra Leone were not known for. But today we are leaders. Just take it this way, we are leaders in the fight against corruption. A country that was declared the most corrupt country in 2013 by Transparency International is today a leader in the fight against corruption. It means a lot for this country, and it's growing. The result of this is going to be long term, but even in the short term we are already seeing the respect that the country is getting. The President Julius Maada Bio, was invited to address the United Nations on the fight against corruption. Imagine a country that was considered in 2013 the most corrupt country in the world. Its president is now the one speaking to world leaders on corruption. These are things we never had, and these results are really amazing for the country. And I am very happy to congratulate the people of Sierra Leone for this kind of effort and results.
And you yourself have been putting in a lot of effort in the fight against corruption. Can you just bring us up to speed on your recent activities that has led to this this result? If you look at the data, if you look at the analysis of the data that led to the jump in the fight against corruption, it confirms firstly the seriousness with which we have taken enforcement, okay, in terms of investigation and prosecution. Since 2019, when we last lost the Aisha Johnson case, we have not lost a single case at the ACC. So the entire 2020, almost the entire 2021, the ACC keeps winning all its cases. I mean, this does not happen in any country in Africa, I'm telling you this. It's because of the quality of investigations that we are doing, the quality of the prosecution we are taking forward, the quality of the evidence, and the fairness and efficiency of our investigative abilities. But more beyond that, we identify that the real strength of the fight against corruption is not the fire brigade running after people. It's prevention. So we strengthen the National Anti-Corruption Strategy Secretariat to do more, and they are doing very well in coordinating integrity management committees in various ministries, departments, and agencies. 94 have been established. We also strengthen the prevention department to do aggressive systems and processes review, introduce policies that identify opportunities, incentives, and monopolies for corruption, and dismantle them entirely. And then we have a better policy, we have a better transparency and accountability framework in these institutions, and the follow-up, the monitor to make sure that they are followed. So the prevention is backstopping the enforcement very well. But beyond that as well, the public education. I'm sure, Kojo, you are aware that at no time has the issue of corruption been discussed. The awareness of the issues of corruption being discussed. At no time has the public relation and public education regime in the fight against corruption been so aggressive than it is now. I lead it myself to educate
the public on the evils of corruption and to recruit their support, and that is going very well. 92% when the PFF Consortium did their survey as to the confidence the people have in the institution that should fight corruption, 92% said we believe in ACC. These are things, when that same survey was done several years ago, about 5-6 years ago, it was 19%. The jump from 19% to 92% is extraordinary. So really it's the engineering, the architecture that we have deployed in the system. We are not saying that we have suddenly become angels overnight, but trust me, what we have done in Sierra Leone with the fight against corruption, the structures we have put in place, the systems we have put in place, the seriousness, the tenacity with which we have gone after corruption, and the things we have done scientifically with data, relying on science to really be able to engineer a proper fight that targets the mind and asks for a better behavior. It is admirable. That is why, in addition to all these indexes that are coming, various countries are now coming to Sierra Leone to learn from us. Gambia is coming this weekend on Saturday. I am supposed to receive the Solicitor General of the Gambia with his team, who are coming to understudy what we are doing in Sierra Leone so that they can go and implement it in Gambia. As you are aware, Liberia were here. They came into your studios and they said the reason why they were coming here is because before they used to go to Botswana and Rwanda to study from them, but now there is a great example just around the corner, Sierra Leone. And they came to us. Guinea came the last time. Malawi has come. Uganda came to study from us. And we already have a request from Botswana as well to come and study from us. Our system is simply the best in fighting corruption in Africa.
And what are you doing about those institutions that rank topmost, in the corruption index in Sierra Leone? We're talking about the Sierra Leone Police. We're talking about the Ministry of Health and others.
Yes, the institutions that interface more with the public are likely to rank most because the public remembers them more when questions are asked and the public interface. So the police, for example, traffic police are always on the road. So even in the police, there's a lot of improvement according to our Pro Barometer in the types of in the reduction in corruption within the police. But then when they ask people, they remember the traffic police, which is just a small segment of the police itself. And that is what really drives the public perception with respect to the police. And we still need to do a lot with the petty corruption. That is what we call petty corruption. These people who stand in the streets asking drivers to pay money and things like that. The same thing for the healthcare, this health structure. Recently we raided PCMH and we arrested all the triage nurses and brought them to the ACC. What were they collecting? 10,000 loans from people. These are petty corruption issues. So what we do about those, because we can't always be running after these people. We don't have cameras like advanced countries have at every intersection that police people are. So public education is important, to educate the public on these things, to understand that even the police themselves, this is not good for them. I have spoken to my brother, the Inspector General of Police, many times about this, and he is really taking steps, because what do we refer them? Some of them are taken out of the police, some of them are dismissed, some of them are punished, some of them are removed from the traffic police and transferred to other places, just to try to see what we can do about it. But public education and prevention is what works with such corruption, because that is petty corruption. It is the one that is more perverse, it is open, but its overall effect on the general scheme of things in Sierra Leone is more minimal, just that it drives perception, because people see somebody collecting 5,000 news, but we are preventing people from stealing 1 billion news like they used to. One person can steal 10 billion news and disappear with it. Now that is not happening in the public service. So we are coming there, but that is why we keep on encouraging the government to invest in prevention. Prevention is better than cure. And for these people where you have thousands of them doing various things, our numbers at ACC are only 300. It's sometimes tough for us to be able to police and monitor them. But that is why also the Scorpio Squad is there to sting them. Like I said, we just stormed PCMA. Some of these things we don't put public, because what we are doing is there are so many things that are happening at the same time that we are saying that we put everything out in public, we'll just be putting everything out, and people will go tired of it. But we do all these thing operations. There was one we did in Bo very successfully, arrested the nurse. She's now standing trial in Bo, and things like that. So we continue doing what we can.
The fact that you're scoring these goals, internationally and locally, does it mean that the government should pay more attention to the ACC in terms of providing more resources for you to be able to expand on your scope of work?
Well, you see, the ACC is like a mother who has triplets. The government is like the mother, and we are the children. and it is only 2 breasts that the mother has, and she has to know how to lie down to feed each of them. The government has a lot of pressures on them. One thing I can tell you is that the government is really doing its best in these circumstances. I study international finance. I know exactly how tough it is to run a country like Sierra Leone, which has not really created wealth and live on basically almost day to day, and sometimes do not support. So I don't fault the government for not being able to provide us everything we need, but the only thing is the budget that they approve, they provide the resources. Just now when I was on the way, I was speaking with Mr. Sajusu, the financial secretary, who confirmed to me that our building, we have a massive anti-corruption building, the integrity house is built. We are just about finishing it now. And we needed 2.5 billion euros, and he sent me a message when I was on my way here to say that yesterday he himself went and saw the building. It's so excellent that the 2.5 billion has been transferred to us. And I called our finance director, who confirmed that the money has been transferred to our account so that we can pay the Chinese contractors who are doing it. So all I am trying to say is, it's tough. The government is really doing its best. The president has provided the will. There has been no time I have gone for any money at the Ministry of Finance. They may delay because, of course, they do have things to do, but they always end up paying what they are supposed to pay. Could it be more? Yes, it could be more. Our capital budget has never been approved since I became commissioner, so we don't have money to buy cars, buy computers, buy gadgets, buy investigative documents, equipment like recorders and all these things, because our capital budget in terms of the day-to-day runnings of the ACC have not been approved except the one for that building. But we understand these things and we continue to work with them to see how best we can continue. Just imagine, with the little resources, the entire ACC is run per year on the budget, on the recurrent expenditure of 8 billion euros. 8 billion euros is about 500,000 pounds and about $800,000. That money cannot run. When I went to Egypt and I told them our budget, they said that money cannot run a unit in our anti-corruption outfit. But we in Sierra Leone are here with such low budget and expenditure, and we are doing such massive things on the fight against corruption. Imagine if we had more, what we can do. These countries are failing. Egypt just faced the MCC Scorecard. All these other countries have failed. Our neighbors Liberia are struggling. Other countries are failing. Guinea, Togo, all these places are really, really low. Kenya, who we used to admire before, are way, way down there. Ghana has gone completely down. Ivory Coast has gone down. Nigeria got 0. Imagine the difference between 0 and 83. We are 83, Nigeria got 0. So it tells you, if we had more resources, what we can do.
Yeah, and could you do with some more human resource stuff?
Of course, yes. We always need more human resources. You are talking about the police, for example. You are talking about the revenue generating institutions. Waterkey alone, if we really want to sustain operations at Waterkey to prevent more corruption there, we are doing our best, but we need at least to station there about 20 staff. The same thing for places like Balamuya, where these are corruption hubs, where the moment they understand that nobody is watching, they try to cheat the system and things like that. Even though the NRA, the Commissioner General, is doing very well in terms of developing integrity systems and getting things to be in line, but you know the general nature of people, they will always try to bypass things. So all I am trying to say is we need more people. We do not have enough people to police the entire country. We are merely building strategies that work, but it could be best the more people we have.
Recently you were dealing with the case, or you're still dealing with the case that has to do with Dr. Samuel Kamara, and we saw what happened, eventually with the supporters of that particular individual and the police. How far gone is that case now?
Politicians will always be politicians. That is what I told the EU delegation when they went to meet me about allegations that I am merely only targeting the opposition, and I told them no. I have only done 15 cases as commissioner of the ACC that concerns people in the past government. 15 cases. Every other case we have done that is more than 300 are cases that have to do with the current government and its operations and people, and the outcomes are clear. And that is why we keep improving. And I took out the data, I gave it to them. Yesterday I was the British High Commissioner. I did the same thing. I just went to my laptop, printed out the cases that list the cases we've done for people in the APC and people in the SLPP, and I gave it to her. I said, go and verify the data for yourself. If you find out that we are doing more about the past government than the current government, hold me accountable. The data does not support such a thing. And when you call politicians to come and explain, you were giving money to build the bridge is not there. The money is not there. What has happened to the money? They say, oh, you are calling me because I belong to the old regime. That is not true. And that is what happened. That is the unfortunate development that happened with Sabura Kamara. Dr. Sabura Kamara was financial secretary in this country. He was finance minister. He was foreign affairs minister. Okay? So if he's invited at the ACC to speak about issues that happened during that time, it is not because he is Dr. Sabura Kamara, the flag bearer of the APC. We are investigating the New York Chancery building. That Chancery building, the first money that came for it came in 2013. At that time, Dr. Sabura Kamara was at finance. He remembers everything that happened around that money. I myself have sat with him like we are sitting down and had a conversation around it. When the procurement took place in 2016 for that building, Dr. Sabura Kamara was foreign affairs minister. He took the proposal to cabinet and laid it before cabinet with details, with his signature on it. He approved every transfer that took place after the signing of the contract because he was Minister of Finance. If we are investigating a payment that concerns that tenure and that period, who best to talk to? Do we now say because Dr. Sabura Kamara was flag bearer of the APC, so we should not speak to him? When he took this thing to cabinet, when he remembers more of what happens than I will ever remember because I was not even there. I was a student at that time. And that is why we invited this man, come to the ACC, help us understand what happened, because the thing that was done was so terrible that only 47% of the work has been done. $4.5 million has been paid to the contractors. But the building is leaking water, the roof is open, the 2 floors that they were to add, they have never added. The neighbors are suing Sierra Leone. It has become a major diplomatic embarrassment to Sierra Leone. So if we invite Dr. Sabura Kamara to come and assist us to understand what is happening, when he himself goes to the ACC, he most times comes first to my office. We sit down, we have a conversation around these things. I show him the issues which he needs to answer to. I explain to him the circumstances around him, and he himself agrees that yes, these things he should answer to. He should have a conversation around it. The only thing is, he will always give an explanation as to why, either because at that time it is now, we are now working from hindsight and things like that. So he will always justify whatever wrong that happened by giving some rational explanation for it, which is fine. But if we invite him to come to the ACC, should he now go and call the entire generation of supporters of his party to come with him to the ACC, and they should stop him from coming to make a statement? Did we ask him about his flag bearership, or we asked him about 2016 when he took a document to cabinet that contained information that was patently false? These are the things that we have to deal with, but we have to continue doing what we do. And it's because of the strength to do this. What we are doing is holy war, and people can be jumping outside. When they fire tear gas down at the ACC, in fact, the first bound that moved, it went straight into my office, because my office is located right at the top, and the air just took it in my office. My ears was full of tears. One of our staff collapsed in her office, and I had to go out and arrange for them to move her to the hospital because she had asthma, and the tear gas really just got to her. But we have to continue doing this. And that is why the rewards are coming in. That is why we are winning the awards. That is why we are getting recognition. That is why the world is celebrating what we are doing. That is why Afrobarometer says corruption has reduced from 70% in 2017 to 40% in 2019, in 2020. That is why Transparency International is showing, for the first time in our history, we are jumping 10 places in 1 year in the ranking of countries. And that is why MCC is coming to confirm that for 4 consecutive years we have been performing excellently. We have not just been performing, we are performing excellently at every time of that indicator.
As things are with the investigation right now, has he, Dr. Sabura Kamara, been found wanting or culpable in the investigation?
That is the point. Look, I may have a document which I believe Dr. Samora Kamara signed, which he ought not to have signed. Because clearly, for example, the document says that rigorous vetting was done of the contractor. The word that was used in that document was that the contractor who got this contract, that is what he took to cabinet and gave to them. That the contractor was rigorously vetted. My brother, the contractor did not even have an engineering qualification at the time. The man did not have a license. So he was not even vetted before it can be rigorous. So if we are now looking at that, before we confirm our conclusion, we have to call him to say, what happened? How did you take rigorous vetting to cabinet? He will give his own side of the story. It will be recorded. All those things have now been collated. We have given to our lawyers to say, lawyers, please go and look at this. Dr. Samora Kamara said that the contractor has been rigorously vetted. But the contractor did not even have a certificate. The man was not even vetted. Is this a crime or it is not a crime? If the lawyers come back to Francis Kaifala as commissioner and say, this one, only the court can decide what this is, so be it. It is not because Dr. Samora Kamara is the flag bearer of the APC. It's because Dr. Samora Kamara was Minister of Foreign Affairs and he took a document to cabinet, among many other things he did in relation to this contract that requires such a consideration. And sometimes we ourselves cannot decide. We go to the court and ask the court, what do you think? If he's innocent, the court will say he's innocent. I will be there to congratulate him and any other person who's charged in this matter. But we cannot be intimidated in doing our work, and we are not making any decision at this stage. The issue is being considered by our prosecution department, and we'll know what will happen by the.
Are there other people that will be called for interviews?
There are at least, look, in this matter that these people were protesting for, Dr. Kali Kaba was interviewed for 3 days. He had to cancel his flight and shift his flights 4 times while the ACC was investigating him. In that same matter, Dr. Francis Kaikai, who is the Minister of Development, was interviewed at the ACC. In the same matter, Nabila Tunis, the current Minister of the Western area, who was Minister of Foreign Affairs at some point in this spectrum that we are looking at, was interviewed at the ACC. The head of Chancery in York, Mr. Nalo, was brought to Sierra Leone and was arrested and detained for over 10 days at the ACC because of this matter. The same thing for financial attaches and other people who asked her. Alkali Suma, who was then the head of Chancery, after we couldn't find him and we had the press conference and I called that he should come, he and his lawyers came 2 days later to the ACC and he presented himself and he was interviewed quietly and went home. We have spoken to over 24 people. We even sent a team of 3 investigators from the ACC to New York. They even spoke to the American contractor. They spoke with various people in New York and in Washington. And they came back with a report. So, it is one of the most unfairest of things for them to say that we only invited Dr. Samora Kamara. And they know it is not true. Dr. Samora Kamara is nearly 3% of the investigation. We have spoken to over 35 people in this investigation. How then can it be only about him? It is not about him. It is about what happened in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 that we are investigating, and we cannot be intimidated.
The African Express brought out a report where they revealed how some monies were expended, monies that were meant for that particular chancery or embassy, what is it, in New York. Are those reports credible in your view?
You see, we always appreciate people who are whistleblowers, people who help us with our work by identifying areas. This chancery building thing was already identified in the audit report. Okay, we were already on it before Africanist Press brought out their information. But Africanist Press information was also useful. We take everything on board and we work with it. Well, I think the one thing about the Africanist Press, the way they present things, we are investigators, we are not emotional. We peel off emotional and politics on the facts and we look towards the facts. And sometimes the Africanist Press has a way of embellishing things for their own purposes. We are not interested in that. But that does not mean that the facts that are contained in what they give out, we don't pick up the emotion, the politics, the sensation, and accept the ones that we believe are useful to us and use it in our work. And that's what we are doing.